Unfortunately, our new axolotl pals might just be the solution. See, by throwing one of these down next to your fence, tying it up, and then picking it back up in a water bucket, the end result will be a rope left on the fence like so. And for you building aficionados, I'm sure you can already think of ways to put that to use in your world. So while it's not an intentional feature yet, it's the closest we've got. Minecraft has its fair share of unstackable items, and while there's commands and mods that allow us to stack the unstackable, what if I told you there was a way to do this in vanilla? No joke, by using the grindstone, we can stack items that we wouldn't be able to otherwise. The way this works relies on using the disenchant feature on a couple of cursed books, and since these can't be unenchanted, the game will merge them like so. Is it practical? Not really, but the same could be said about the cursed books themselves, so it fits. Now, as far as Minecraft's concerned, circles are a rare sight, but once again, the community has found a way to make them happen. You see, when placing down glazed terracotta in a circle like so, and filling in the corners with diorite, we can see a perfect circle come out of the blend. And while it's an illusion that may take a second for you to see, if you squint, it becomes quickly noticeable. And that way we get both a circle and an abstract piece as well, which is a win for both if you ask me. The long-held fact in Minecraft is that the end and the nether do not mix. I mean, you can't make a nether portal in the end, so the two seem pretty exclusionary. That is, until we do something like this. If we go into the world files of the game and switch out the folder called dim1 for another world's file, we can actually swap out the dimensions for new ones, meaning we could have our nether be the end, or the overworld. And believe me, it's as confusing to pull off as it sounds, but it can also look quite cool. Minecraft doesn't have many boundaries set in place, but there are unspoken rules that we tend to follow, and that might be why when you do something like this, it just feels off. Truly, even the recipe book wants us to craft our things in the center, but nonetheless, it is possible to build along the sides of the crafting table. I mean, it's also possible to make a flint and steel like this, but if you ask me, it looks more like a steel and flint, proving that even when it works, it's still plenty awkward. After a while of playing with your friends, it can get tough to impress them, but building up a full netherite beacon should do the trick. Though getting all the netherite to make that happen is actually a tough hurdle to cross. So instead, what if we want to make this happen for a fraction of the price? Well, using this method, we can make it seem like we're the richest on the server, when in fact, we're barely cutting it. But hey, as long as they don't snoop around the other side, this should be fairly convincing, and that could earn us the respect that we're looking for. Despite their shortcomings, tridents are a lot of fun to use, and they're worth keeping on hand for the Riptide Elytra combo alone. But that's apparently not their only synergy. See, if we were to instead charge up our trident and then switch to a sword as we launch out, that momentum will transfer over and we'll get something of a sword charge attack. And I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that's incredibly cool. So if you're looking for a fire aspect trident, this might be the closest you're gonna get. Though I'd be remiss if I didn't warn that this method wears down the durability on both the trident and the sword. So grab an unbreaking book before the trial run. As everyone knows, Endermen can tend to be a bit camera shy, meaning if we make eye contact, that whole operation goes belly up. But while that rule is true, there actually is an asterisk there. See, if we continue to look at the Enderman in question and lock eyes, then we enter something of a staring contest, which is useful, but the strangest piece of this whole thing is that after a certain amount of time, that Enderman just gives up. Just like that, the monster turns peaceful and leaves you be. But I'm not complaining. Adding a bit of color to your house can go a long way, and by that logic, this colorful contraption should help out a ton. Though, as the title says in this post, it's maybe more fit for giving you a migraine than a masterpiece. Here, you'll notice that the player lined up a 2-block hole with a full-scale build behind it, which is an odd sight for sure. And while it's easy to admire the skill put in, anyone can just as easily tell that this jar of jelly beans just doesn't match up. But hey, it's impressive nonetheless. Few things can stop a TNT explosion, but water is supposed to be the cure-all solution for that. Though while it works like this, over here, it's a bit lacking. And the reason for that is that if we happen to drop a falling sand entity into the same block as the TNT once it ignites, we can cause an explosion just about anywhere. And yes, that even includes underwater. And honestly, it seems like a solid choice to hunt for clay from your local lakes. But even if it's useful, I'll never be able to wrap my head around the physics here. Parkour is a pretty straightforward concept. You have a goal and you have to jump to get there. I mean, it's not rocket science. But to spice up that idea, we need to talk about parallel universes. Or more specifically, using command blocks to jump between two realities like so. See, as it's laid out, we not only have to make sure where we land our jump, but also switch to the right clock to make the blocks appear. And if you ask me, that really takes your jumping puzzle to another level, literally. The way that Minecraft is, it's really easy to build a pillar, but really awkward to build downwards. And without a water source to cling to, most of us might think that such a thing is impossible. But that's just not true. If we just so happen to have 2 trapdoors on hand, then we can use this crawl technique like so to slowly maneuver ourselves down the path. Is it tedious? Absolutely. But the fact still remains that if you need to build downwards in a pinch, this might be your best bet. As we've talked about in the past, campfires can have a chunk of benefits over their furnace counterparts. And while that's true, it can still be quite annoying for one of these to fizzle out. So whether it was your friend with a shovel or a rainstorm overhead, the fact still remains that we gotta reignite this thing. And while a flint and steel would be the obvious choice, we've actually got some much stranger options to use. See, in certain cases, it's possible to light the campfire using a fire aspect sword, a book, or even yourself to catch the flame. And I'll let you guess which one's the safer option. As the old saying goes, lightning never strikes twice. But in Minecraft, that couldn't be further from the truth. And this machine shows as much. See, thanks to the Caves and Cliffs update, we can use the way the trident entity behaves and position it on top of a copper lightning rod to make a bolt of lightning every time that trident falls. The result of which is something of our own lightning generator put to use. And the potential applications of this glitch could be wide-reaching. So whether that's changing a villager breeder into a witch farm, a pig pen into piglins, or making that red subscribe button gray, thank you, by the way, this machine has a lot of opportunities. And I can't wait to see them. Clearly, Steve and Alex are pretty strong. I mean, how else would they be able to carry around mass amounts of stone and food in their inventories? But while we're used to holding blocks and items, what if we tried to carry a mob instead? And no, I'm not talking about a parrot on your shoulder, but rather doing something like this. Because of the way that hitbox collisions work in Bedrock, we're able to carry mobs like Enderman up and down the ladders like so, which looks on first glance, these would seem highly impractical to build in your world. But place them side by side with powered rails, and you'll see this alternative win out and then some. And while the science here is too confusing to wrap my head around, the fact remains that creating this circle pattern can pay off in a big way. So if you find yourself wanting to make a roller coaster where your chests are empty and golden redstone, this cheaper option might be a solution. When you're first getting into the villager market, it can be a real leg up to convert them to zombies first. Because let me tell you, that discount for curing could be a huge help towards your emerald beacon. Though to convert every villager, you're probably doing a lot of brewing, a lot of which is unnecessary. Let me explain. See, if you were to take your weakness potion and instead add a dragon's breath, then we can use that now lingering potion to make 8 arrows of our own, which will let us convert substantially more villagers in the future. And hey, on Bedrock, the return is even better, since we could just make a whole stack of tipped arrows from one cauldron. Now, in a game made of blocks, a circle stands out. And while we could cheat and use shadows as an example, if we want something really cursed, we gotta turn to command blocks. With the right set of commands and NBT data, we can essentially paint a circle of entities like so. And as you can see from these examples, the results can get fairly crazy. Now, I should mention that this can also cause a bunch of lag, but that lower frame rate will just turn this into the perfect cursed slideshow. Now, while map art can do a lot of great things, animation isn't one of them. And usually to get that effect, we need to use some extensive command blocks or redstone to make it happen. But with this illusion, if you focus in on it, I'm sure you can notice that it's already in effect. What's happening here is that by trying to focus on the lines between the ovals, the image starts to look wavy, which is more than a little disorientating. Minecraft physics clearly don't make a lot of sense, but that doesn't make a site like this any less strange. See, in vanilla Minecraft, it's entirely possible to put a lava source block on top of a water one. And how do we do this? Well, it all comes down to our old friend, the sign. See, if you waterlog a sign like so, then apparently it's so powerful that even by putting a lava block on top, it still holds steady. So if you want a particularly deadly aquarium for your house, I guess it is possible. Pets make for great companions, and thankfully in Minecraft, we're able to collect a few of our own. But keeping them alive is a different thing entirely. And more often than not, we just leave them at home to keep them safe. So to find that balance between safety and sidekick, Bedrock might have our solution. See, mobs over here behave pretty strangely when exposed to the right potions. Meaning, if we take a bunch of our pets, unload a ton of decay potions, and then heal them at the last moment, some will eventually enter into this bugged state. In which case, isolate them and you've got yourself an immortal buddy. And sure, the methods might be questionable, but the results are hard to argue. The world border is a weird fixture in Minecraft, and while others have used it to create illegal double slab variants, I think we should just ditch the border entirely. And as so, to do our own attempt at a Wind Waker barrier skip, all we need is a boat and some persistence. By simply placing the boat halfway through the barrier, we can hop in and row ourselves right over to the outer limits. And then, stranger still might be that by going far enough, the boat can even break down into planks and sticks, just like it used to in the past. Now, thankfully, Java Minecraft doesn't have much for microtransactions, but that does leave us behind in terms of cosmetics. Or rather, it would if we didn't have this command. You see, with the /item replace command, we can put blocks and items on our armor slots that we couldn't normally. So, sure, Steve doesn't normally have a mohawk, but put an anvil on your helmet and the problem's solved. Or you can add an emerald to your head and look like a sim. Really, the possibilities here are quite open, so now it's all up to you to find your favorite one. Complex doors are a staple of the redstone community, but while Mumbo can show you how to make 40 of those in a couple minutes, I bet you won't see one of these too often. And folks, your eyes don't deceive you. This is built entirely within vanilla Minecraft, albeit it did take the creator around 1200 command blocks to build, but the result of which is still pretty special. And honestly, I wouldn't even know where to start building one one of these. But luckily, the smooth animation is something that we can all enjoy through the world download. If you look at a sheep, it doesn't seem like the smartest of mobs. But what if I told you that these things are actually masters of disguise? Or at least they will be. See, by setting up the command blocks that we have here, our sheep turn from mindless mobs into proper chameleons, being able to blend in with their surroundings like so. And while they probably don't run across colors this vibrant in the wild, it is still cool to see this effect in action. And honestly, it's a lot more unique than just yet another sheep named Jeb. Steve's addition to Smash Bros was a huge deal, and not just to see this character rise from a solo made